To Unfiltered Discussions, you got Nash in the building.
Got Ash in the building.
And today we have 4 special guests.
Montez.
Darren D-Rock.
Steve in the building.
Tom Merchandise.
Okay, so today is a special day. As y'all all know, it's Father's Day. So, of course, we had to come here and celebrate fathers today. So we're going to get straight into it. So, Ash, you want to take it?
I can take it.
Okay.
All right. So today we, like we said, we honoring fathers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to start off with a question. Okay. What was it like growing up in a household, or what was your childhood like, whether you had your father around or whether you didn't, and what was that experience like?
Who want to go? Go ahead, Tom got it.
Yeah.
All right.
So I grew up. My mom and dad, they was married. So I had my father in my household for most of my life. Teenage, I was like 12 before he got locked up, and I think that right there kind of shaped me to who I am now. Like verses of what not to do or what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I always thank God that I had my father in my life, whether he was a good role model or not. And I look at it that way because that can show you how to be a man and show you how not to be a man.
Absolutely.
So I always thank my dad for being a provider. And I took that from him. No matter what situation was, my mom had to pay no bills or anything. My dad provided for everything. So I kind of took that with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of like still old school when it comes to that in my relationship too as well.
I like that. What's next?
I could go.
Mm.
I didn't grow up with my dad in my house. My dad left when I was 5, so I grew up with just my mom, as far as my parent and then my 2 sisters. And what it did for me was always put me in a position where through anything I was going through, as I just spoke on who I grew up with, I saw how they responded to things, I saw how they handled things, saw how they operated. And for me, it always was, what would it look like, or what would I do, how would I be if my dad was here?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how that went for me. And it makes me feel like everything I am today, like I had to do it on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Not having it in the house, I definitely had different opportunities of men in my life that as well I looked at where it was like, okay, I could take this from that person and maybe this is something I shouldn't take from another person, but it was never in my house. I had to always go seek it and put it together myself.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I can understand that.
I can come at them. I could pick back right off on similar situation. Mother, married, but father not around. Grandmother, sort of like my father, so I had both of them, so I was lucky with that. A few uncles around, 2 older brothers, and I had some older guys around that I looked up to as father figures.
Okay.
Okay. I grew up in the house with my dad, in and out the house. Some days he was there, some days he wasn't. He was gone for years and never came back. And what I learned from that just to be, I don't know.
No, would be what? Like, you can speak, it's fine.
Well, being though I did have my dad in and out my life, I just.
Yeah, just taught you to be present, right? And it's crazy because I hear that everybody on the couch, y'all had a dad, right?
Yeah.
But it's not to say that your dad was present. But they also showed you a way that you didn't want to be, right? So regardless if they were there the way that we needed them to be there, they still left an impact in some way, right? And for the greater good, that is. So I'm kind of glad that you was able to look at it that way, vice versa. Because honestly, a lot of people, when you grow up without your dad, it kind of leave like a negative taste in your mouth about your father, and rightfully so, right? Because when you decide to become a parent, kids don't get to pick and choose who their parents are, right?
Exactly.
Right.
When you say, okay, or you find out you're pregnant, we interact and adult things and things happen, right? And it's just like, at the end of the day, and I gotta be real honest here. as I was trying to get this podcast together today, it was really, really hard to gather up fathers. And that's just real talk, right? And I had a few people that I asked, and you know, they declined for whatever reason, right? But honestly, when I was sitting back and I was reflecting on like good dads, like I really couldn't come up with many, right? And I was like, Dad, I never really thought about it until trying to put this together. And I really don't know, like, to say, like, what's a good dad. I'm speaking along the lines of being present, like, hands-on.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Filling in sometimes when moms can't, right? So I kind of measured on a couple things. But, I mean, if you're sitting here, obviously I think highly of you, right?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So, because when it's all said and done, honestly, like, I know that y'all think that moms is like, oh my God, it's mom, but honestly, fathers is really impactful. Like, and that's real talk. Like, in a household, even if you can't be in a household, like, your kids still need you when it's all said and done. And being a mom, that's hard. Being a dad is hard. Like, being a parent is hard. Like, there's really no book for that. Like, people always say, oh, do this. Nah, that stuff you learn through experiences, right? Okay, so my question to you guys is, so, how did y'all feel like when you found out that you would be a dad? How was that?
I mean, I was nervous. Like, to be honest with you, like, and the first thing I thought about was like the way I grew up and how my father was like really aggressive and abusive. That was like one of the things that I had to work on myself with my anger, like just, changing the cycle.
Yes.
That's like the first thought. Also, like the financial responsibility, and like it costs money to have children. And I know everybody always say, well, you want to make it work, you want to find out. You'll get through the cracks and everything like that, but I think my parents did that, so that made my life hard. So when you think about being a parent, the first thing I think about is responsibility and can I afford to have this child? And I know use protection, because abortion, I think people want to go through abortion and stuff like that, but I also kind of believe that is it smart for you in the moment? And I went through this with my baby mother at first. And I'm glad that she kept that, like, because
good.
I was so mature about it. I was like nervous. I didn't want to do it, and I didn't think that I was able to provide for my kid. And my kid been here for a year, like 14 months now, and he don't want for nothing, don't need for anything. Like, and I thank God for that. Like every day, that He's blessing me with money. But like my first reaction, I was definitely scared. I think anybody could be.
Yeah,
scared.
absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it's not just about talking on her. Like it's about my family. So.
Exactly. See, selfless. I like that.
You brought acknowledgement or you brought awareness for me to acknowledge that, I was nervous, but I didn't feel the nerves until my son was actually born. Going back and accepting that it was nerves there, but me saying, like I said, it wasn't there yet was because once he came, I was able to say, like, all right, here's a baby. Like, I've never touched a baby before. I never changed a diaper, never heard. Like, up until I had my son, I always looked at babies and kids and just flagged them. I needed and had nothing necessary to do with them. But speaking specifically to, like, when I found out, super excited, anxious, just ready for it. And when we go back to, like, thinking about, as we brought emphasis to how we were raised, our household, I had excitement because of that. Like, here I am able to offer somebody what I didn't have, because I knew for a fact, like, I was going to be involved, present, and doing everything I should, be doing as a parent. So I was super excited and just anxious.
Right.
Okay, I can see that.
Was I nervous? I don't think I was nervous. Anybody like knows me, I love kids, so that wasn't a thought in my mind. Was it a surprise? It was kind of a surprise, because I wasn't planning on that wasn't nothing I would say I was planning on having. I'm thankful that it happened the way it happened, but I wasn't planning on. I wasn't a guy that'd be like, I'm gonna have kids. But I had nephews and nieces and a bunch of nephews and nieces. You know what I mean? So, but I was proud of that moment. I was proud of that moment when it happened. So that much.
Okay. And many of you already know, of course, my brother doesn't, at this moment, don't have biological kids. Some of it's by choice, some of it's not. But you know how that goes. Now, okay, so my next question, and this is something I feel like, what is like the biggest, like the most important thing you think you need, being a father? Like, what is like the most important thing? I'm gonna switch it up because you keep on first. I'm gonna go with Tyrene first.
Can you repeat the question, please?
I'm like, what is the most important thing? Like, what is the one thing you think is needed to be a I don't want to say a good father. I guess you could say a good father or a sufficient father. Like, what's one thing?
Like you said, just being around, being there when that child needs you to be there. You know what I mean? That's how I really feel about it.
Okay.
Communication.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's.
You need that.
Daughter was on this podcast and she stressed that. She said it a few times. So that right there from that woke me up. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? That's maybe a problem I have is communication. You know what I mean? So she helped me with that.
Awareness.
Yep. She worked that there.
Repeat the question one time. I'm sorry.
What's the most important thing that you think you need in fatherhood? Like, what do you think is the most important thing?
Being involved, and just not being there financially, but being there through everything. Like, you need to, like, a father is more than just someone who's paying the bills and someone who's just throwing money around. Like, understand what I'm saying? Like, you could be a better father with just being involved and helping your kid out, not just throwing money around. Father is more than just money to me. You understand what I'm saying? Or just a bill, a kid. You understand what I'm saying? So I feel as though like just being involved is a great thing.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more.
I ain't really too much beyond that.
No.
Both Tyrene and Steve already, said presence, and it has to start with presence. And it's not going to bring emphasis to two things when you ask for one, but to understand presence, I think then after that is patience.
Right.
As a father, as a parent, period, you're extremely effective. Or you can be extremely ineffective. I think that because of understanding that, and then again, the first thing being presence, you then gotta like have patience that comes behind it to understand, to be able to just even know what you're doing in that role. Because like we said, you don't know what you're doing until
It's
you
a
do it.
learning experience on the fly.
And it's no book. I mean, it's many books that's out there, but it's nobody can tell you how to do it. You got to figure it out for yourself. So the patience is so important to have while you're figuring it out. Because every year is going to be different. When your kid turn 1 to 5 and 10 in every age, that's your new experience too at that age. Unless you're doing it for the second time, third time.
Right.
And even those become a different experience too. So
every kid is different.
yeah, so patience, I would say.
I agree.
So I think about being a good parent or father. I think about like 3 things, which is like stability, being transparent, and also being involved. Like, when you go about like stability, is like as which kid, everything is not about providing, which is true, but you also gotta create that stability within your home so your child can have a good life too, right?
Absolutely.
So I think about that, and it doesn't mean I had to have a big, beautiful home, but it had to. I had someone that my kid could come stay with me.
Safe.
If you're not like exactly like so, if you co-parenting, I could get my son or my daughter because I have a house,
Absolutely.
and then there's no pushback between you and the mother.
Absolutely.
And I also think about being transparent. Like I know a lot of our parents, we all agree to this, they lied to us a lot. And they didn't tell you what it is and what it was and stuff like that. Like, to the point that they wasn't transparent with you until you get out in the world and you start experiencing things and you like, damn, I'm a liar. Like, damn, you a liar. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you said you ain't do this when you was younger, and you did it. So I always look at that like to be transparent with your kid, even though it might not be as effective as you probably want it to be, but being truthful always go a long way at the end of the day. Like, y'all know I'm a teacher, and I always tell my kids, like, if you lie to me, then you get the consequences. But if you tell me the truth, then we can work on your actions so you don't do this behavior again. So, and then the last one I said was being involved, like Steve was talking about. Just being there, whether you live with your kid or, you don't, just being there, being present, like graduations, or just move up day. Like little stuff like that goes a long way. Like, I mean? I remember my dad was locked up for my 8th grade graduation. And And then fast forward to my college graduation, this nigga didn't even come to that either. And I gave him like, you know, you go to graduate from Temple, we only had 5 tickets at the time. So I gave him a ticket versus giving another family member, he didn't show up. So, you know, I know I did everything on my own, but it still was like, it's being present, because that definitely affects it.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and y'all said a lot of powerful things when it comes to, you know, being involved, the presence piece. You know, time is priceless.
Absolutely.
And a lot of fathers, you know, sometimes tend to think, you know, because they have the money to put out there that they're a father, you know, and you could be in a household, you know, living under the same roof, and a lot of people think that just because you're in a household doesn't mean that you're a present father or you're an involved father. Like, some fathers might be present, but they're not helping their kids with their homework, they're not spending time with them, taking them out to the movies, games, etc. They leaving it all on the mom, you know. So that's the flip side of it, you know what I'm saying? And that brings me to my next question. What is your biggest challenge when it comes to fatherhood?
I can start again.
Oh, okay.
I just think like one of the biggest challenges so far for me is just gaining the knowledge and experience to be a father. Like, I'm a new father, so I really don't know what to do or how to do it or when to do it. So I kind of listen to other people's advice, but also at the same time just learn from my day-to-day experience. So the biggest thing is challenges about being a father is the unknown. Like, you know, what type of child my kid's going to be, or am I ever going to be, you know, still here today to be able to provide for them, take care of them, protect them. So that's like the biggest challenges right now that I have.
Okay, I can understand that.
I can take away he said basically the unknown. You know what I mean? When I say I have a challenge, I don't know. You know what I mean right now, but maybe I will one day. But right now, not too many challenges for me right now. I love this experience.
Yeah.
I was trying to find it. Originally, I was thinking that I would definitely more so respond like how Tyrene did, where it's like, because it is kind of how I feel, where it's like I don't really feel too many challenges, but as you positioned that question, it's like it made me think about if there really are challenges there, and what they really are or could be. And I think that when I looked at it, the challenge for me would be understanding the timing of everything. Because with the excitement that I have, and then understanding the kid to the best of my ability for wherever they are, I don't really know what I don't know. So like sometimes I'm excited to maybe do too much that they might not be ready for, or sometimes I might be thinking they aren't ready for something they are ready for. So for me, my biggest challenge is the timing of understanding what's for a 1-year-old, what's for a 9-year-old, what's for a 5-year-old, like, and offering them that at the right time and things like that. So that might be my biggest challenge, if there is one.
Well, the challenge for me is because I'm a stepfather, that's what I'm saying. So my biggest challenge is, you know, gaining the trust and having the kid communicate with me. I keep going to communication because communication is a real big thing.
It's
for me,
everything.
you know what I'm saying? Like, so being a stepfather is a challenge because so do I, you know, it's about putting rules in place. Understand what I'm saying? So my biggest challenge is I'm going to be too hard on this kid, or I'm not going to be too hard on this kid. When do I let up? When do I don't let up? And then like my biggest challenge is trying to get this kid to love me like I would love. Like, you know what I'm saying? You know, or even, you know, like oh man, challenge.
We just having that conversation about stepfathers out there with my cousin. He brought up a good point about like the boundaries. What do you have and you don't have? Because some of them still have their father in their life, some of them don't.
Right.
And then it depends on your relationship. Do you still play that stepfather role when y'all going through it? Like, you know, did the woman still allow you to do it? Like, we just like was having a whole conversation the other day, and that was like a good point.
That's a good topic.
And to let everybody know, because I'm not really a biological father, so when y'all ask me these questions, I gotta really think and get little things in my head. So when I stop talking for a second, it's just because I lost my thought, because I'm not really, you know, a father, but I am a full-time stepfather. Understand what I'm saying? So I just gotta get my answers right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and shout out. Oh, go ahead, Dylan.
Just to add emphasis to that, though, bro, or to add it, encourage a different direction with that. I don't think that I think you're a father. Period.
Yeah.
I don't feel that the biology takes anything away from that in any way. Period. I mean, it's a lot more to add to that, but you're a father.
Yeah, I feel though, and I feel though I'm a father, and that's what I'm saying. And I love this kid like it's mine. Understand what I'm saying? Even though I've only been a stepfather for a certain amount of time, I still, with the time that I did spend with this kid, I feel as though it's mine. Understand what I'm saying? And this kid don't have a biological father in his life, and what that is, understand what I'm saying? All right, listen, I found out something, y'all. My biggest challenge is, right, do I play this role in this kid's life, and then if things don't work out between me and his mom, do I leave this kid's life, or do I stay involved? You understand what I'm saying? That's a big challenge for me too. Understand what I'm saying? Because I got genuine love for this kid, and understand what I'm saying? If something go wrong with him and his mom, me and his mom, do my love stop? No. So that's a big challenge for me. Is I'm going to be able to continue continue putting my imprint on this child's life. Understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And so when you keep speaking about that communication piece, that's a conversation that you're supposed to have with this mother at the end of the day. Not saying that you're going to stay with her, not saying that you're going to leave her. You never know what happens in life, right? So the fact of the matter is that that question has arisen in your mind. That's a conversation that I would have. Listen, if we go left, like, am I still able to, be in his life? Like, what does that look like for you? You know, because you're invested. And nobody, absolutely, I see you doing your thing, and shout out to you for that, because a lot of men don't do that.
Shout out to you and stepfathers just like you.
Yeah, absolutely, because let me tell you something, a lot of men don't take on that role. A lot of men won't even step in those shoes, and if they do, it's only for the mom when they're dealing with the mom. So it wasn't genuine from the start, right? It was because it was expected of you because you're dealing with the kid's mom right now, right? So for you to go at it at the level that you go at it at, and I can speak to it because I witnessed it firsthand, and a woman can appreciate that, and not saying that any woman is looking for a stepdad, but when you're not with your kid's father, you go ahead and you want the man that you're dealing with to step up in that way. They got to be an add-on in a positive way, right? But you took it to another level. You know what I mean? Like birthdays, just the overall affection that I've seen being showcased through you guys. So it doesn't even, if I didn't know you, I wouldn't think that that's not your biological child. And that's just real talk. And your women have to appreciate a man like that. So, and I hope that she does, because that's rare.
That's for any female.
Absolutely. Y'all out there, y'all got a man that's stepping up when a dad didn't or left or whatever they chose to do with you guys. And if somebody come through in your life and leaving an imprint in the way that my brother is, you got to respect that, acknowledge that, and appreciate that. And not just sometimes, all the time, because they don't have to do it. It ain't their job. And that's the thing. But people get lax in that, though. And I'm speaking about the women. Y'all get lax in that and think that they're obligated. They don't owe you nothing. They don't even owe your kid nothing. So tread lightly with that. And that's just real talk. Okay, so my next question is this. What do y'all think the biggest misconception women have about fathers? Because honestly, I hear a lot of women talk, and it's never really in a positive way when it comes down to dads. And I just gotta be honest, and shout out to my son dad, because he's an excellent father from day one, right? And to have a kid, yes, my son is hearing impaired, so to have a kid with a disability is a lot, right? You don't know that they're unknown that you guys are speaking about sitting on this couch. You go through different trials and tribulations with stuff like that, and you're trying to find your way in life because it's all new to you, right? And I gotta show love and appreciation, because He didn't have, most people don't stay. You know what I mean? Like, he been around since day one. No, we haven't been together in 12 years, and our son will be 14. You do the math, right? But we've been co-parenting for all that time, and it was his idea to split our weeks in half, right? Not mine. I'm like, oh my God, my baby, my baby, my baby. You know what I mean? But he was like, no, that's my kid too. Like, we want to split these weeks, and we've been doing that for 13 years. So shout out to Malcolm for that. And that's just real talk, because y'all got to keep it real. This unfiltered discussions. So yeah, so what do y'all think the biggest misconception women have about fathers or men in general?
I think, no disrespect, I think a lot of
No,
women,
keep it real. This is unfiltered discussions.
I think, like, you look at Twitter, I think a lot of women try to tell men how to be a man and how to be a father. And then, and it's funny to me, like, there's no disrespect, like, I really, it's coming from a good place.
I need to hear this.
Disclaimer on it.
Like, women would tell a man that they don't know how to be a man or be a father, but 90% of us is raised by our mothers.
So
when you look at that for like a whole perspective of the whole situation, it's like, well, our mothers are raising us wrong. So what can we do, like, as a culture, to teach our women how to raise our children? Like, I'm Muslim, so we big on like the household of, like, we the providers as a man, but the women are like the first teachers of the children. And that goes a long way, because if you teaching your child X, Y, and Z, it shows. Like, it shows, because it shows what, like, so basically, like, my dad was, since he was 12, since I was 12, I had my mom, but I had my grandma, I had my aunt, and I had my older brother, like, he really stepped up too. But it's like, the way I would interact with my child, like, in my parenthood, is way different than a lot of my homies that I see with their kids, right? That was just raised by their mom since day one. Now I look at that and I'm like, yo, like, wow, like, I big them up for being good fathers, but then you look at the outside world, it's like, some men, like, don't know how to take care of kids. Like, we can look at that, right? And you be like, man, well, how you want to change the cycle? Like, how you didn't have your father in your life? Now that you not make your own kid, like, and I remember somebody tweeted this, it's so funny. He was like, my homie told me, I see why my dad wasn't in my life because of his baby mom. It was a joke. But he was saying that how his dad was in his life, basically referring to how his mom made it hard for him. And then, like, a lot of women do make it hard for dads to be dads, because they want us to parent the way they want us to parent a child. And it's like we were saying from the beginning, there's no book. So, like, shout out to the weekend dads. Like, it's like some girl was saying that I don't want no weekend. I don't want no weekend dad. What if you work 9 to 5? And if you don't have a vehicle, like, to get your child, like, well, listen, I work 9 to 5, but I got the weekends off. I would take my son or my daughter every weekend. Like, some girls not gonna appreciate that, right? Because she have the kid full time.
I would appreciate that.
I think because y'all older too, though, so y'all understand that more.
Yeah, that's a different story. There's a lot of things to it. There's a lot of things to
the
it.
dynamics. Listen, I heard everything you just said, right? And this is the piece that I think a lot of women get upset about. At the end of the day, we don't get to pick and choose. If we got a 9 to 5, we still got to be a mom.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, the kid's sick, the kid hungry, we don't get to pick and choose, right? We got to stick and stay and figure it out. And that's where I think a lot of women get upset at when it comes to dads. It's like the inconsideration, the not being mindful, the selfishness. You know what I mean? Because okay, cool, you could be a weekend dad because you work 9 to 5, but what's the rest of your hours you doing? Right. I work at 9 to 5 too, and I still got to go get them kids to cook their dinner and make sure the house together. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's, I think, where the conflict comes in at for moms and dads, because we don't get no time off.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I mean? And it's not all good moms, because I said it on a Mother's Day podcast. So let's be very clear about that. Just because a mom there doesn't mean that she's been effectively raised as a parent. No, I'm not stating that at all. I'm speaking along the lines of the moms that really gotta, like, figure it out with no help. And that's the thing, I think a lot of dads need to understand, that support is everything. Whatever feelings you might have about your kid's mom, the kid don't have nothing to do with that, but it spills over, right? It constantly spills over into the parenting piece. And it's like, separate all that. Because to me, I feel like if I have conflict with you, it's some unresolved issues or emotions or feelings there, and most people want to say, "Oh, I don't deal with them. I don't have no feeling stories. Them. I don't want them." So what's the issue?
Yeah.
Why is it constantly conflict with you guys if nothing's going on?
But what
Yeah.
about the dads that is involved, that is do things, and then when the mother, when the mother and father have disagreements, they'll hold the kid hostage from the father, like,
And
well,
those
you
the
did
women
this,
I
you
can't
want-
respect.
That's being bitter.
You understand what I'm saying?
Those the women I can't respect because again, she's holding off our own personal reasons. You see what I'm saying? That goes back to that. Like, because there's no daggone way. Listen, you want to buy them out? Like,
Yeah, I don't care how.
listen, I'm gonna kick my feet up, get my nails and feet. I don't give a daggone what I'm gonna go do. You want them? You want them? Get them. I don't
Is it about
care.
the child?
They're not able to
Is
set.
it about the child then? You know what I'm saying? On
Yeah.
her
Yeah.
behalf or his behalf? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
And it could be
that's
either
true.
or at the end of the day, but you still have some people that have unresolved issues based off of past experiences, and they want to still be bitter about it and hold on to that. And then now here it is, the child being tossed around like a
Exactly.
like
as a pawn. They're using the
you
kid as a
can't
pawn
do that.
in adult situations. And that's what I mean
Exactly, and
about
the
the
kids see
unresolved
that,
stuff.
and the kids can definitely see that at the end of the day, you know. And then you got some. When it comes to co-parenting, that's definitely a challenge within itself, especially with fathers. You know what I'm saying? And especially if y'all two can't come to a mutual agreement and be mature about it, that's the thing. It's called communication. Not that nobody want anybody or any parties, but some people can't understand it and they get that misconstrued.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree. So, yeah, so where was I? The biggest misconception? Go ahead, you up next.
I agree. I think it's I think the biggest misconception is women thinking they know what a man is thinking. And that actually goes both ways. But I would say that that's the biggest misconception. It's a misunderstanding of not understanding what it may be. I mean, you don't know. So I think the biggest misconception is just that, like thinking that you know what a father may be thinking. And then, but you figure at the same time too, we keep talking about what will eliminate that, which is communication. Because at the end of the day, communication is the most important thing for any relationship, though. So, parent to parent, parent to child, husband, wife, like
Speak when
doesn't
they're
matter. Yeah,
Absolutely.
friends,
It's the way of life.
everything.
I don't think about that type. That type of stuff don't register in my head. You know what I mean? Because I'm not that type of person. You know what I'm saying? So you can't really, not to say you can't say nothing about me, especially about parenting. You can't really say nothing to me about parenting. I try my best. I do my best. I do as much as I can. You know what I mean? So, I really don't get into that.
Yeah, and plus your relationship is different. Let's be transparent here. So you have Tyrone over here that's married to his, which is, shout out to my sister, his wife. So he's married to his child's mother. And their child is about to be 17. So of course his outlook is going to be different. You have Steve on the couch who's in a step parent role. Then you have Darren on the couch who's in a co-parenting role, right? And then you have Montez over here that's with his child's mother, but their kid is only about almost 2 years old. So you have different dynamics on the couch here. So of course the answers are going to be different, which I wanted the diversity here today. So that's much needed. So did you want to speak about the biggest misconception?
I guess it got something to do with so like this. If a mother trying to tell her father how to raise their child in the father's way, and I think the biggest misconception is I could raise my son. A father could raise their kid in. Oh shit! I'm sorry, y'all. So listen, my whole thing is right.
No, I think you.
So then if I'm raising my kid, you can't tell me how to raise my kid in the father way, and the father can't tell the kid how to raise the kid and the mother. But I think that's the biggest thing to the conflict over is because sometimes a mother thinks dad being too hard on the boy when he really preparing him or not. being too hard, or the father might think the mother being too soft. So I think that's part. I don't know.
No, you're right.
So-
You're right.
So they usually have the disciplinarian, and then as
Yeah,
mothers,
nurture,
we're naturally going to nurture our child. That's just like an automatic.
It's a balance thing. Yeah, that's needed. So this is the thing though, right? So, because I hear this a lot from dads. Dads just feel like, oh, you, and I hate to hear it though, like when they say, oh, you ain't hurt, get up. It's like, how do you know?
No,
Their
he's
ears
hurt.
friggin' bleeding, their damn tooth then came out their mouth. How they not hurt, dude?
But that goes back
Yeah,
to
like-
showing emotion, and that's why a lot of men are not able to communicate and express themselves emotionally because, oh, you ain't supposed to cry, you ain't supposed to do that.
Exactly.
So that's where get the misconceptions
Yeah, I
coming
agree
along
with that.
because men are designed to say, oh, you hurt, get
You're
up,
weak
you'll
at the-
be
yeah,
alright.
They make it as if
Yeah,
it's
so
weak.
when you
It's a different
grow up as a grown
but-
man, then here it is. You don't know how to express yourself when it comes to different relationships with significant others, and let alone, exhibit these different things to your child. Like you're not able to present that.
And,
Yeah.
and that's how men also say. So say if a man raising a boy and keep saying you're not hurt or you're not. That's how men don't know how to show their feelings. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying,
I
because
hate it.
I'm supposed to hide them. If I'm hurting and my dad, every time if I express that I'm hurting, my dad say, oh no, you're not hurt. Get up, you're a boy. So that's how men be hiding their feelings, because you
Angry.
understand what I'm saying? Like we gotta protect our
Suppress
feelings.
it. You have to
Understand what I'm
suppress
saying?
it.
I
Exactly.
think it's a gift and a curse when it comes to that. I see the benefit and
Yes,
I see
sir.
the,
Yeah.
I see the
Yeah.
negative, but I also like the benefit of it is like when you get older, as a grown ass man, it's no excuses for you not to take care of your kid, take care of your
Absolutely.
household. Nobody want to hear that you got fired today. All right, well, get up.
So
Go
right,
up,
still
put up
do
some-
it.
and that's the point I reached
That's
in life
your number one
where
job.
Yeah.
I reached a point in my life, right, for myself, and this is something I'm super excited about for the children that I have, because I reached that point as a man to understand. Remember, I spoke of where I came from as far as being raised, right? So, not to go too off, it's this gentleman that's online, his name Kevin Samuels.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
my
Yeah.
God.
Everybody's having a hard time with him.
Yeah.
I understand. But I realized it. I said at the end of the day, he'll always have a hard time when it comes to women.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I also realized that for myself, I haven't seen him say anything that's wrong. What I mean by that, though, is that from coming where I come from, how I was raised, I'm able to understand my emotions. I'm very in tune from. But I realized and reached a point in my life as a man, why as a man you're consistently always coached on keep going.
Right.
And why you can't like tap into your emotions and things like that. I was able to see and reach a point where I understand that you do need to be in tune with your emotions, but I see why you are coached as a man not to be in tune with them.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, as a man, realistically, you do have to keep showing up, and you do have to keep going, and you do have to keep pushing. So that's why, in a sense, you're told to like ignore them in a sense. But what happens with ignoring them too, you're not even being in tune with yourself. That then you're disconnected and taken away from being able to know how you feel, and then later it might crumble. There's so many different things that can happen. But that balance, it's a balance thing.
It is.
And men aren't necessarily coached to the balance of being in tune with your emotions.
Being
Yeah.
emotionally intelligent.
So later,
You know.
you eventually, like I said, you crash or whatever the case may be emotionally, but in a sense, like logically, it's when they separate the two. So logically, in a sense, you kind of seem to have it all together, but it's still an imbalance.
Yeah.
So it don't really look good.
With that.
If you're a man that's way too emotional, or you're an emotional ass man, like you
The
weak
woman will
and
call
all
you
this
that.
other
But
stuff.
it all depends on the situation at the end of the day, because you're not going to act overly emotional in certain situations. Like, they're going to be looking at you like you're crazy or something. Like,
Honestly, we had a conversation about that. That's why I think a lot of these young men out here are so shooters. So much as shooters because
Kinda what
they
you
can't
just
control
said.
their emotions, right? So
Absolutely.
they raise a lot of them are raised by their mothers, and like you know how it is. If it's dishes in your sink, your mom come in. Oh, it's dishes in my sink. You start snapping on you, right? And you be like, damn, mom, like you could have just asked me to do the dishes. I would have did them. And like you
But
carry
you
that
don't take
mentality.
the initiative to do them. So now I'm on that ass. Like,
See, but right, you see how I go, right? And I think that a lot of these young kids are like that today because it's like somebody hit you up, like instant, the boy hit him off the bike, the white guy. This nigga got out, started pushing him against the car, got the guns, ready to shoot him right then and there. Like emotional, and there's a million people outside. And he didn't even think about that, but he just was like, man, he just disrespected me on my bike. Like, you gotta think about that too. That's why I always, it's a gift and a curse, like I said. The gift is that it teach you how to, like, all right, in the moment, just keep it pushing. But I do agree, you gotta have a safe space amongst your friends to talk about what happened to you, how it happened to you, and how did you feel in that moment. And then from there, you go, all right, I'm not going to keep sitting on these emotions. I expressed it, I got it out, and let me move forward with my life instead of keeping a grudge or hanging on to something like that.
That's
so
important.
You definitely got to find it down.
You know, a lot of people let their emotions overpower their intelligence. And a lot of the times, somebody react and go shoot somebody later on, you're going to look around and probably be like, dang, like
once you bring it
back down. And it's a temporary thing. Emotions are sometimes temporary, especially when you're acting in rage. And a lot of people don't have self-awareness where they're not able to understand what they feel and why they feel in the ways that they're feeling and be in tune with self. And that's an important piece right there.
Oh, absolutely, all day long. I just think that, the emotional piece, because I heard when you said that, Darren, you were saying that, about the man being the Kevin man, right? No, and it's not, because I just see little clips of them. I never actually watched them, right? Because as a woman, I'm not going to sit there and have a man tell me who I am or what's your grade. What would he ask him?
He asked him the weight and
I don't care what you think.
I don't mean to cut you off, but you said as a woman, you're not going to allow a man.
That man, I wouldn't ask a man, excuse me, hi, sir, do you think I'm a 4'3", 2'5"? I'm not going to.
I don't need validation from somebody.
Situation, you know
They're
what I
looking
mean?
for validation.
So the woman in himself is already something is incomplete, right? Because why are you going to him to ask this man a question like this? So that's it's kind of crazy, whatever, right? But I also heard you say about the emotional piece that, the man is emotional and all that, but it's so crazy because the women, we're emotional, right? But we're still strong. They think that, if you're emotional, that means that you're weak, right? But how many women is emotional but they're strong people, right?
A lot.
You know what I mean? Women really carry it for men at the end of the day.
The difference, y'all can be, their emotion, however y'all show it, is accepted. For a man, it's not. So
which is sad though, right?
Yeah,
it's sad to me. To me, it's sad, right? I really feel like that men got to tap into those emotions, right? And okay, not to every man, because I can't stand a man that's like gossip and do girly stuff. Like, what are you doing, dude? Right? So no, not in that aspect. I'm speaking along the lines that sometimes men even struggle in intimate relationships where they don't even know how to express themselves to their woman, right? They all over there acting crazy and act like that's the homeboy, or did you tell her you love her just because you tell her you appreciate it, you just go up and hug her, stuff like that. So men struggle with that as well in relations because again, if you don't have a space to do that, if you didn't grow up with your mom loving up on you and telling you, hugging up on you and stuff like that, and we got to say mom because moms show men how to use their heart and stuff, right? I mean, that's really kind of sort of our job. Some dads do too, but more so as a mom thing when it's all said and done. And that's the balance. That's why it's extremely important. Yes, we left no choice if we got to raise a man, right?
Right.
So, of course, we're going to be more on the softer side. I mean, you got some woman that be like, you better stop acting like a little faggot. And I'm like, girl, why is you talking to him like that? Or punching down on him to think that's going to make him a stronger dude, little boy, or grow up into a man or whatever, right? But not even knowing that you're, implementing anger and mixed emotions inside of this kid, right? So what do you guys think? Do you feel like it's a difference in raising a girl from a boy?
Yeah.
Yeah, what you think?
I don't have a daughter yet, but I have my little sister, Nana, right? So, the way I am with her, I'm way different than with my little brother, and I do that for a reason, But this is a man perspective, and it's just my perspective, right? And this could be totally wrong. And this is we always learn every day. I feel like I want her to be able to express her feelings, but also be able to understand that not to depend on anybody. And I also want her to be smart enough to know that who is for you and who is not for you. You know what I mean? So those are things I express to my little sister all the time. But I also do give her the freedom to do what she wants to do. But then she also still have a curfew. She's 17, and she's like, my friend who got a curfew, they could say, I don't care. It's school tonight, you got them at 10 o'clock. And she'd be upset, but I know you 17, I know you about to graduate next year. I understand all those things, but I'm like, if you don't have no structure, and then your foundation is going to crash. And then when you get out there on your own, you be thinking like, damn, Tonka was right. Like, you know what I mean? If you have your children, you be like, damn, Tonka was right. And I just try to like explain that to her every day. And, you know, a secretary ain't gonna try to hear that for real. But I still keep like the limitations of what I let her do and don't do. But I still give her the freedom to explore everything. Like she have a boyfriend. Like my brothers don't like that shit. Like, and I'm like, you can't hide it. Like, I was 17, 16. You're like, you know, as if you gonna allow it, or they gonna sneak behind your back. Like, and then either way
true story.
Either way you put it, they still gonna do what they want to do regardless. Like, you know what I mean? So I always give her like a safe space to come talk to me about it. Like, I mean, I met her boyfriend and everything. Like, I'm fine with that. And my older brother, like, now he ain't with none of that. So like, but it's just like you were raise him differently because as it's my little brother, so I don't care who you bring in the house. You wouldn't care. Like I wouldn't care my son. I wouldn't care about my son. That's it. But I don't. Maybe it's because the girl bring the baby in the house and the son technically don't. I don't know.
He said
I don't know.
I disagree. Like that. You know, I had that debate with my wife about that. I try not to put that in their life. You know what I mean? If that's just gonna happen, that's gonna happen.
Right.
Time do. You know what I mean? But as far as like me saying my son, like he gonna have this girl and he gonna be doing this, I never liked it. If I had a son, I don't think I would be even doing that. I'm damn sure I ain't gonna do that with my daughter. You know what I mean? So that you know what I mean?
I'm definitely the parent and going to always be the parent. We're not talking boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah.
You don't even know what that means. It's a level of reciprocation that come with that. So it's not that I'm going to be saying that they'll be embracing that for themselves. The way that I'll embrace that with them is telling them how much of that person is not a boyfriend and girlfriend based on what a relationship that way would look like. Boyfriend rule, not for the kids. I feel like they wouldn't completely be able to know what that means. I think that like behind a relationship, there's actually things that you are realistically obligated to. Like I think that when you get in a relationship, that you in a sense you make up of that other person. Like I'm heavy on that person being my other half. Like me and my relationship, my woman come with 2 children as well. I see her as 3 people. So and like that's a form of an obligation that relationships like are supposed to have. So like as a kid, you don't know nothing about that. You don't even know the whole tone of provide and protect them. But yeah, it's just not something that I'm entertaining. Like, so the clarity I thought she was bringing to it, bro, for like what I was saying was how you talked on that being shown through an example.
Okay. My thing on raising a boy and a girl is for my daughter, I will raise her to know her worth, because that's the most important thing that a woman need to know is their worth. Because if she don't know her worth, she'll try to find it in so many other ways throughout the man, and then like at the end of the day, it's like, understand what I'm saying? Like she getting treated way worse than what she worth. Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So and it all comes from how you interact with your other behalf in front of your kids. Understand what I'm saying? So like I would show my daughter her worth by showing her how I treat her mother. You know what I'm saying? And then she'll know like, well, my dad didn't treat my mother like that, and my dad didn't do this is my mom, so I know what I'm worth. I know I'm worth more than this because this is what I see and this is what I know. As far as a man, understand what I'm saying? They learn how to treat a woman by their father showing them how they treat their mother. Like, understand what I'm saying? If you're not hitting and beating on your woman, your son ain't gonna grow up hitting and beating on their woman. That's what I'm saying. If you show your kid how to respect the woman as they growing up, that's the same. That's how they gonna do when they grow up. Understand what I'm saying? So that's my whole thing. Is just being that role model when you raise your boy and your girl. You can't be like, well, if this is my son, I'm gonna let him get away with more things. No, like my whole thing is my kid. Long as we got school together, and I'm big on school, so you know what I'm saying?
Oh, we know.
Yeah, so like that's what I'm saying. So far as like that, yeah, that's just basically what I'm saying. Like, you know what I'm saying? You just gotta show the kids your worth. Even if it's a boy or girl, they both worth is equal the same. That's what I'm saying. And we only would know if we show them when we're raising them.
I definitely
I
agree
agree
with that.
1,000% with that one. I have a question for you guys. How big is support, right? You know, we hear so much, and it's funny. I don't know. Like I seen this thing on Facebook yesterday, right? And it was basically stating that, dads, all they do is known as to pay child support. But if moms don't got a job, then they can run down the welfare, right? And I'm like, dang, that's crazy. Like, it is a lot of like supports out for women, even down to groups and things like that. And just all around like shelters, you know, it's really like a lot of stuff is geared towards women. And I'm wondering, like, do you think that's because it like woman is really like always in a place of having the kids and doing things, and they just look at it like a woman need all the help versus the men, because they always think like, dad, well, what about the dads? Like, what if it's a dad that got their kids and the mom ain't around? Like, where the heck do they go for help, right? So yeah, I always thought about that. But now, as men, how big is support? Do you guys have support? As a father, as a man, like, how big is support for you guys?
You asking like how big is support? Like,
Yeah, do you have it? Do you need it? Do you want it? Like, what does that?
I think that coming from a man role, at least from my point of view, I think that we are the support. So sometimes, like, you don't look for support in the outside world. I remember just like, you know, my son's birthday, and if people got him stuff or not, I was telling my baby mom, like, I really don't care. Like, I'm going to spend this money to get it for my son, like, you know, or not asking like my aunts and stuff to watch my son. They be like Teresa or mom, let me watch your son. I'm like, I'm not used to using that support. That's my way of thinking. I'm like, well, if we can't take them with us, then it's like, it's cool, we don't have to go. Like, that's how I normally think about it. So I definitely have to change my train of thinking when it comes to that, because I know it's not healthy for everybody around me too as well. So I guess like now, like, when it comes to support, I think that I'm gonna just do more of like, all right, because my cousin T yesterday was like, I'm gonna take your son for the weekend. I'm like, all right, but like normally I'd be like, why are you taking for the weekend? I'm off the weekends. I ain't doing nothing for the weekend. Like, I can have my child for the weekend, but it just letting everybody else, you know, have to be hands on, because it definitely take a village to raise the child. So that's like I have to be big on, just like let somebody.
I feel like the support that may not exist, like much of it not existing for men, has to do with everything that like we kind of tattoo about men with that strength that they need to have and should have in a sense. And actually, I had somebody bringing light to me about the whole gender roles and like them taking away things and taking it away from any of like the sexuality things that relates to. They were adding emphasis to this right here, how it's like the world actually gives and offers things to women that could work for men as well, but they don't even offer it to men. And they were saying that's something that they stood on, why the whole gender roles, they wanted it removed, because it's like men should be treated the same way women should in some things, and that doesn't even exist. Because what, it's a male against a female. But for me, I feel like I have a lot of support. I have great support, and that's very necessary for me. I do a lot of things. I require myself to do a lot of things, and without that support, I wouldn't even be able to do a lot of the things that I do and need to do. So me having support is necessary. I'm appreciative of it, and that's my support position.
Support for me, the kind of support I need is acknowledgement. Understand what I'm saying? Because if I'm doing all these good things to keep me going, to keep doing it, I just need an acknowledgement like, damn, yo, I like the fact that you out here doing, out here in the park with your son, or even from my spouse. Like, I just need some acknowledgement so I can keep going. Understand what I'm saying? That's what's going to put a battery in my back. Like, damn, I love what you're doing for us. Some acknowledgement, just to keep, you know what I'm saying? Some appreciation. That's what I'm saying?
Brody got a high,
that's what I mean.
What's the affirmation love language?
Yeah, like that's type of support I need. Understand what I'm saying?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, sport is big. Sport is very big. Especially being a parent, you need support. If anybody tell you they don't need that support, then they'd be lying. They'd be in denial. But I'm thankful to have a lot of support. Thankful to have y'all. Thankful to have family. You know what I'm saying? I definitely need that support. There's times that I needed time to be picked up from school. There's times that I needed time to for y'all to watch Tana. You know what I mean? That's a lot of support to me. You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely, support is very big.
Good. I'm glad that you guys realize that, because a lot of men don't feel like they need support. I got it. And it's like, no, you don't. Like, you got stuff, yes, you do, but for the most part, like, we all need support. Like, everybody. Like you said, like, I might get a flat tire. Could you grab her real quick? You know what I mean? Like, anything. Even down to, like I said, there's a lot of programs for women that is not for men, right? You got some dads that are forced into being the only parent. The mom may pass away during childbirth. The mom may be incarcerated. You know, the mom may be strung out on drugs. It's like, it's a lot of different things that needs to be factored in, but they're so used to, again, moms, you know, filling in all of the roles that fathers are forgotten about. You know, so yeah, I think that if more things are implemented for dads, or they look at it from a more realistic perspective, and realize that dads have a hard time too. Dads need support too. Dads have stuff going on too. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm kind of glad that though y'all got support systems in place.
Right.
And Steve, like you said, that acknowledgement, and that's why I stated that in the beginning of the podcast, especially in your role. You know, like, and in any role, dads too. Like, most people feel like, oh, you're supposed to do that. Yeah, we're supposed to do a lot of things that we don't do, right? But when somebody is really doing it and persistent and consistent with it, and, you know, really standing in their stuff, and, you know, accepting of what their role mean, and you know, stuff, and really bringing a difference into people's lives, right? Because to me, I feel like just because you are a father, like, biologically to a kid, but if you run into, like, you're a teacher, right? So those are your kids as well, that you teach every day. So you might be able to view them in a light that their parents don't see them in, right? Yeah, you see them more vulnerable. You see them in times of needs that their mom and dad probably don't even know that they're dealing with, right? So you're able to, you know, make an impact in that way too. So yeah, everybody have a role, right? Like, you know, Tyrone, you see it's a lot of them damn nieces and nephews, right? It's a bunch of them, right? So everybody has a role. You know, Darren, you go through different people throughout your workday, 2 kids, and it's just a lot. You know, Steve, as well as in the uncle role and the stepdad role. It's just a whole bunch. It's a lot, and I just think that the more that men know how important their role is, like, a lot of things would be a little bit different when it comes to, you know, the outcomes of our children, right? We already know the murder rate is so high right now. And what is it? Young black boys, right? I mean, it's really not a lot of role models for these boys to look up to. A lot of us, as we spoke on this couch, either was raised in broken homes or absentee homes of fathers, right? And look at it. Yes, we were able to take a more positive approach about it, but how many kids don't? How many kids really sulk in the fact that their dads aren't involved, that their dads aren't around, and then they kind of put self-blame, right?
I mean, we also aren't kids either, though.
Huh?
We also aren't kids either, though. Like, when it all starts to unfold, and when you can start to make sense of how to accept, like, it happened to you, but it don't have to be who you are, like.
Yeah, and that comes with growth and maturity, though. There comes a time with acceptance, right? So at the end of the day, what we was raised up in shaped us one way or another, right? Some people, we chose the high road, some people don't, right? Yep. And those are the kids that go out and they might commit murders. Those are the kids that's maybe in the jail cell. Those are the kids that's already in the grave, right? So again, the importance of the roles of a father and a mother in a household, and just what we're putting into our children, makes a difference at the end of the day, right?
I definitely agree with that, with the roles in the household, because that also translates to the community. Like, you know, and that, so it's like, even if somebody's father's not around, but Mr. Mike on the block, like Mr. Mike, the lawyer, you know, Mr. Mike make sure he come through, check on everybody. So it's like, it's a community thing, like, and that's one thing I'm going to go off on. Like my little brother was talking about, like, when we get to the next level, like, let's move back into our own neighborhood around it, because this how we see them dope boys every day getting money, driving to the dances. Let's see regular 9 to 5 people work and going around with that Benz, living in your same exact neighborhood. So it's like, we only do what we see. Exactly. You know what I mean? So you only pick up a gun because your older brother might have a gun.
You learn behaviors.
You learn behavior. So I think that's like very key to changing the cycle. First changing yourself, and then that way you can change your household, and your household eventually helps change the community. I always believe in that.
It's that thing starting with their thinking, changing their thinking. Then
Exactly.
it exhibits into their behavior.
Exactly, and that accountability, right? Once you realize who you are, like you said, Darren, now we're adults, right? So we can't always carry the mentality, oh, when I was a kid, this, even though yes, it's a part of our childhood, right? And a lot of things happen to children that don't supposed to happen to children, right? A lot of kids witness things they aren't supposed to witness, right? And that's when you look at yourself as a parent, like, damn, I'm not going to do that, right? I don't want to see my kids see me argue. I don't want to, let my kids see, me getting hit on. I don't want to go ahead and indulge in alcohol and things like that. Like, I don't want to do that around my children, right? Because at the end of the day, a lot of kids, like, everybody is not built strong mentally, right? Or emotionally, right? So if you are, surrounded by so many negative things, and you don't have those tools in that box to be able to go through life with, it really shows up, right?
Yeah.
And we got to deal with you in the community. We got to go to the gas station and might be robbed. We might just be walking with our kids and getting shot up because they maybe want something that it's just a lot that goes into it, right? So that's why back to it's a community thing, like, and that's why my original statement when I said that everybody has a role, even though it's not your biological kid. Like, speak life into that kid. If you can help that kid, help that kid. It's not going to take nothing from you, right? That kid might grow up to be the person that's performing heart surgery one day. You might need heart surgery one day. You might need your dad. Anything can be done that these kids is going to be in this world that we
It's
live
kind
in,
of like,
right?
I don't mean to cut you off, but it's kind of like, it's what Steve said,
Right.
encouragement.
Yeah.
We give these young kids encouragement, young kids, adults, if you see them doing something that they supposed to be doing, or something that's good, and you're supposed to encourage them to do, that at that time. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That too, and same with Steve, like when you talked about your position of fathering your son that biologically isn't your son, and being concerned about like the timing of it, the effectiveness of it. For me, like, I realized that I am not concerned about that. It's just about being impactful, because more clarity to how I parent. I actually had 2 children that's biologically, now mine only have 1 biological son, but I have 3 children total. So, and in the same essence, depending on, like, I look forward to getting married, but say that's not a tone, and then, again, the children that are mine that come through my relationship, in a sense, they could be taken away from me that way, maybe, not knowing how I go. So for me, with that reality, it's just making sure I'm impactful for whatever the time is going to be, how long it exists, and everything like that. And that's just the same thing we talk about community. It don't matter where I go, I'm trying to make sure I'm always impactful in a positive light. So that whatever my interaction is, whether it's the nieces, the nephews, the kids on the street, however it is, my moment with them was impactful in a positive light, so that, I hopefully can contribute to some positivity, some type of good productivity and progression in their life a good way.
And that's good, because they like, being and it's more so like consistency at the end of the day, because it, especially coming from a stepfather role, you come in, you're providing consistency in this child life. You know what I'm saying? And that's most important. Like, a lot of children don't have that consistency. They might see, maybe different men coming in and out of the home. You know what I'm saying? So they may not really get that time to really see what a father figure looks like, or a positive role model looks like in a home. And then most importantly, teaching our children, the coping skills that they need. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of these children today are reacting in ways they shouldn't be reacting. So that's all I gotta say about that.
And being an uncle is part of being a father role too. You know what I'm saying? Because you might not have no kids at the time, or you do have kids. Even if you do, if your nieces or nephew father not around, you still got that responsibility of playing that role as a father. You understand what I'm saying? And it's not even that. Like, it's all about consistency, like you said, not giving up. Understand what I'm saying? Because I ain't gonna lie, man. I feel as though like I kind of like felt my nephew a little bit.
Why?
Because like I won't say I gave up, but I took the easy way out when it was time to really get down to it, to discipline them, or to get into what the problem was,
Mhm.
I gave him back.
Alright.
Understand what I'm saying? And it wasn't at the time that he really, like 14, 15, time he really need me. Understand what I'm saying? I failed him in my eyes a little bit. Understand what I'm saying? Because, long story short, I gave my nephew a responsibility and a role to play in my home when I got him. Understand what I'm saying? And even though he wasn't doing it all the way I wanted him to, things was kind of rocky. We got over it. But then when I gave my nephew a little freedom to go outside, and then he started engaging in bullshit, instead of me showing you the way how to be out there and doing things, understand what I'm saying? I sent him home. And I feel though like I felt as a father and as an uncle, understand what I'm saying? Because, you understand what I'm saying? Like, I didn't give him the guidance that he needed at the time, understand what I'm saying? Like, instead of me just, you know, and I want to apologize for that too on some serious shit, because that's another thing like that some of these young guys got going on. People be involved from a baby to 10 years old and then give up on them at the time they really need it, whereas though fatherhood 15, 16, that's the time that you really need to be integral in somebody's life. Understand what I'm saying? And then when you give up on the child, understand what I'm saying, that brings a lot of problems to this child's life. Understand what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like, damn, why you leave? Like, was it me? Or did I do it? What did I do? It was better. So being consistent, even being a father or uncle or big brother or whatever, understand what I'm saying? Y'all gotta, you know, be consistent. Don't give up on people. Understand what I'm saying? Like, I gave up on my
I like that you acknowledged that the fact that you said you felt your nephew, but you acknowledged that, and the fact that you were able to take accountability for the role you played in it. Also, you still got the opportunities to fix whatever happened.
Right.
Exactly.
Because what that do is, like, in a sense to me, I feel like that brought the light to, like, what you mentioned earlier, which is something that, so when I just brought a little more clarity to my parenting, my son is the son I, like, co-parent with, you know. My other two children that came through my relationship, they just had their mother as a parent, like, and so they're always with just their mother, which we all live together, and so they're also always with me. And like the co-parenting when my son comes into, where, like you said, there's not that 9 to 5. Like if you work, if you get off late and stuff, and so you still have to parent. Like so, it's days where it's like through my co-parenting schedule, it could be a lot more convenient if like certain days was flipped in a different way. But like I never use that as a substitute or look at it like it can be that, because at the end of the day, like if it wasn't about him having a mom and it had to be on me alone, then I would have to figure it out and make it work. And I feel like that's all that is. Like, and there's nothing wrong with it. You just it's awareness to the situation where it's like, oh, I was supposed to. All right, this that tone where it's like I gotta show up regardless, no matter what. So like you say, it got rocky. All right, cool, it got rocky. We gonna have to fight this one through, stick it out, communicate, whatever we gotta do to get to it. But there is no handoff again. There is no like giving them back. That's your child. Like it's like they're stuck with you. You gotta figure it out. You don't use the other parent as a substitute to be like, here, take them back and stuff like that. It's like you just keep showing up and figuring it out where you have to do it. And that's what you were saying. Like with moms, it's like moms get put in a position where it's like you have to do it. Like, and like for me, I'm like, man, I'm a dad the same way. Like, I'm gonna have to do it. Like, I don't need no substitute. Like, I'm gonna figure it out and have to do it on the strength that, again, like how moms, that's put on them.
Absolutely. But Steve, I just feel like at the end of the day, first of all, you fill some shoes that most wouldn't, right? You took on a role that was needed, right? And at the end of the day, you have to also take a look at what you did do, though, right? Ryan now is going to high school, and we're gonna keep it all the way real because this is unfiltered discussions, right? You know, when you stepped in, because I went and looked in at the work. Ryan was like due with 300 and something assignments missed, right? And this was in April? You pushed that thing all the way through, and he was able to walk last week, where he wasn't going to graduate out of 8th grade, right? So shout out to you for that, because it if you didn't step in when you did, he would have been lost in the mix, right? Now, most kids that are left back or you're not moving on with their peers, now that's another struggle that they're dealing with. Damn, I done felt, damn, my homies are going off to high school, I'm still stuck in elementary school, right? So now you eliminated one, stressor from. At the end of the day, when it comes down to kids, there's always going to be some type of conflict some way, somehow. I don't give a damn how old they are. They're like, I don't want those shoes. I want that toy. Boy, go big. Come on, go in. So it's going to be conflict somewhere, and you got to be able to accept that and know that. Everybody's human at the end of the day. Even though, yes, you might take the authority role, but you're both human. So that communication piece is extremely important. That's why I always go back to communication. You have to be able to talk to somebody, not in a way that, oh, I'm the adult and screaming and hollering, no, until they can understand what you're saying. The worst thing you can do is want somebody to understand you, but you're not expressing yourself in a way that they can understand and accept what you're saying to them. So now that you got a chance to look at it, now you got to go back, talk. Stop hooting and hollering. Mommy and daddy always bought, well, mommy's a hollerer. You know what I mean? We didn't like that, did we?
Right.
Nobody wants to be hollered at. You get on my nerves now. I got it closed off my ears. I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, stop talking to me. So, you know what I mean? So now that's a shutdown mode for him. And then you got to think about it. He's about to be 14, so he's trying to come to himself. He's finding himself. Maybe not in the ways that everybody think that a kid should find himself, but everybody has their own path in life. You see him get off the grid a little bit, you push him back on. You know what I mean? So the fact that you acknowledge it, like Ashley said, is the fact that you're taking accountability, you're aware of it, now go fix the problem, if that's what you want to do. And that's just that.
Yeah. And that's true. And that's another thing that men gotta stop doing too, as far as being prideful. Like,
Yes.
My pride was in the way when I should have just let my pride down and just told my nephew, like, listen, yo, understand what I'm saying? Instead of me wanting to be the big dog and the honcho in the house,
yes.
I gotta, take a step back, like, listen, bro, you know what I'm saying? I understand you did wrong, and you're not really trying to hear what I'm saying, but I'm gonna show you and I'm gonna help you out in doing this, you understand what I'm saying? But my pride was, oh, he not respecting me? Or he ain't listen to what I tell him to do. So now I'm on some shit when I shouldn't never took that. Took it in that way. You know what I'm saying? I should have just let my pride down and just stop being so
And guess what? You did exactly what he's used to.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You repeated a cycle that he's used to.
Yep.
They detached from him. Detached. You see what I'm saying? So here it is. Because even here he shouted you out. He came on the Teenage Podcast, and one of his biggest support was his uncle. You understand what I'm saying? So he has a lot of respect for you. He's already acknowledged, the impact that you had on his life. So just go ahead and do that cleanup work. You know what you have to do, and that's just what it is. Did you have a question?
Nah.
Oh.
I was going to
Okay,
pick
think
it
of
up,
that.
Steve,
Go ahead.
like, this is like about changing the cycle, right? Because we coming from a culture where as though our parents is like, do what I say because I say.
Exactly.
And not do what I do, right? And it's like, well, I'm a teacher. So when I'm teaching kids something new, I give them a teacher model, and I give them a rationale of why we should do it this way and how it's going to be effective. And I think that I'm going to use that same type of, skills I learned as a teacher to do with my son. Like, son, this is why you should wash the dishes, because if you don't wash the dishes, like, the nets might come and then it's not to make mom upset. Like, I'm just saying, like, things like that. Give them the rationale behind it. Like, why we should do it, because you want to keep your house clean.
Right.
And then instead of being like, nigga, you supposed to wash the dishes because I said so. Like,
Exactly.
I like that.
that parenting right there, like,
It's
it
effective.
creates that friction. Like, I remember the first time I went down with my pop, I was 16. And he was coming home from jail. He was at the halfway house for like 1 month before he got sent back up. And I didn't get my hair cut. And then he took my little sister, like, take Nana with you. At the time, Nana was like 5. And she was like, I'm like, man, no, I get in the chair. She might get up and run out the door. I ain't trying to do all that. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, Pop, like, I'll be back and I'll watch when I get back. Pussy, you gonna take my daughter? And then that's when I just lost it. Like, what you mean I'm gonna take your daughter? Like, that's your daughter. Like, that's my little sister. And I figured if he be like, well, son, I got something to do. I'll go back to the halfway house. I'm not gonna be able to take her back home. Can you please do it for me? I think that whole situation went different. But since at my first reaction, like, no, Pop, I can't do that. He got mad, like, you supposed to do it because I tell you to do it. And that's never the way I think when it comes to parenting that I'm trying to learn. I think you build that respect with your kid. They gonna do it because you say, but you never had to flex that your authority over them.
That's how it is authority.
Yeah.
We tend to take parenthood as authority.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't do well with that in the culture. We don't do well with that with the police. We don't do well with that.
That's what I'm saying. You
in
know
jobs.
what I mean?
Like we don't do well with that at all. So you just have to learn how to just like have rationale and explain things to your children so they be able to understand it when they get older.
I just think, well, like, in any type of moving on before we did in any case, I just wanted to re-acknowledge too, though, bro. You figure you also did something that like an actual father don't even do, like, which also is why you even did what you did as a response, where it's like go back home, because technically you had that option where it's different than when we talk about the option of a father not really being able to do that. So it's like it's not even that you did anything wrong. For you, you want to be more. You a man that want to be a father and want to be more impactful. So that's why you even had that fight. It's fathers that don't even have that fight because like they not even being a father. They won't even step in. They pass off stuff we talk about. So I just think that's. I'm just saying here happy and like thankful for you. Appreciate that. Everybody that's affected behind you, like for real.
For real. Another thing I learned too, right? Instead of being a dominant person in the house, and stuff I'm saying, sometimes you gotta, you know, because alright, look. As far as what I'm trying to explain is right. If you take a better approach, not the dominant role with your kid, they'll be more willing to open up. Exactly. To come to you for things that's going on, really things that you should be aware of. But you always yelling at them for something, and they gonna be scared to come to you when it's time to really come to you for things. Understand what I'm saying? So people need to understand that too. You understand what I'm saying? You don't have to be dominant all the time. Understand what I'm saying? And dominant don't even have to be beating on somebody or hitting somebody. Understand what I'm saying? All you have to do is learn how to use your words. Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree. You know, I guess this would be my last question. When it comes down to your children, what is the thing you want most for them out of life? Like, what do y'all want for your kids?
I want for them to be able to live their life and be happy with it. And I know like emotions are always like it's always temporary, but I want my kid to be able to like, I did this because I wanted to do it for myself and not what makes me happy. Like, you get what I'm saying? So I know that was like a big thing, like growing up in my household, you wanted to please your parents. And I don't think it should be that way. I think you should want to, you know, please yourself, because that what makes me happy, that you doing what you want to do. And that's like my biggest take. So like, if my son gonna watch this when he get older, like I just want him to know, like, do what makes you happy.
This is your message.
Yeah, like just do what makes you happy, whether you think that I'm gonna like it or not. Like, you know what I mean? As long as it's like it's appropriate. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but just do what makes you happy. Like, that's what I would say.
I love it.
I like that too.
Yeah, I mean that's me 100%. Be who you want to be. I literally, my whole parenting thing is to find out what they got going on, figure out what they thinking, how they feeling, and encourage that. You know, empower that. That's how I feel. I want to find out who they want to be and help them be that.
Far as me, I don't know. I feel as though I want to take a different approach than what y'all said, because of the fact that I was always asked the question when I was growing up by my Uncle Timmy and shit. What you want to be when you grow up? I never knew. I don't know. And then it come down, I'm almost 30 now, I ask my nephew the same thing. Damn, Rob, what you want to be in 5 years? You about to be 19, 18, what you want to be? I don't know. So I feel as though like a house with high expectations is a house with high goals. A house with no expectation is a house with no goals. You understand what I'm saying? So if I'm expecting more out of you, I'm going to get more out of you. You understand what I'm saying? But if I just let you come in and do what you want to do and how you want to do it, not saying that I'm trying to control the kid, but so my whole thing is if I have a child, I'm going to want my child to be a lawyer, a doctor, or a judge, or a politician. You understand what I'm saying? We need more of those as black people. You understand what I'm saying? So my thing is I want to raise my kid to be a lawyer or a judge. And how I'm going to do that is I'm gonna plant that in them. Understand what I'm saying? By, you know, giving them the
bringing awareness.
Yeah. So cause like I don't like when kids don't know what they want to be when they get older. You understand what I'm saying? Cause these white kids they already My dad a lawyer.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a lawyer. My mama died. I'm gonna be a doctor. You understand what I'm saying? These black kids, we don't know what we gonna be. We don't know if we gonna even be here today tomorrow. So I just wanna
because we don't see
yeah.
it. We don't
So,
see it.
So I just wanna take that different approach. So I wanna put that in my kid to be something. You understand what I'm saying? Not to be I don't know.
Yeah.
Know what you want to be and own that and be that person when you grow up. You understand what I'm saying? Like that's what I want out of my kid. You know what I'm saying?
I'm both sides.
Yeah.
I take them two sides, and I take his side where
I agree with him too.
Right.
I understand what you're saying.
where I want my child to be the best her, whatever that is. You know what I mean? Whatever she decides to do, whatever she decides to be. But I'm the type of parent or the type of person that she wanted when she was younger. What you want to be? She want to be a veterinarian. You know what I mean? I want to be a lawyer. You know what I mean? That's words that stuck around. You know what I mean? So if she don't talk about that now, I still put it out there. Don't you want to be a doctor? Don't you want to be a lawyer? You know what I mean? I throw that out there. So I go high, aim high. If you fall short, you ain't falling but so short. You know what I'm saying? You can fall in the middle, but you'll be all right. But I just wanted to be the best her. Whatever she decides to do, whatever she decides to be the best her. I'm gonna help her. I'm gonna push her 100%.
Yeah, I like all those answers. Because it gives kids the opportunity to, y'all say, whatever you want to be, I'm begging you 100%, right? Then on their end is listen, I'm implementing these things in you because a lot of kids, certain schools and things require you to, know certain things. You get your kids in certain programs and stuff in order to be that lawyer, that doctor, that this, that. You know what I mean? Because if you know that from the very beginning, if they saying that, then you're going to be putting all that in, putting that work in, then you go off to college, you're getting them scholarships because a lot of kids don't know, of course, they're looking at those grades, they're looking at this, you know what I mean? The recommendations are getting put in for you and things they're going to recognize who you are as a student and you're going to get all them, Scott, this stuff going to come in, okay? Crazy, right? So yeah, it's good that y'all, have that and know that what y'all want for your children because a lot of, even moms, a lot of moms don't really know what they want for their kids. A lot of dads don't know. Nobody really think that far. A lot of people are really dealing with life and then a here and now. So they're not even really thinking far out into the future to say, Dad, I want this for my kid. I want this. You know what I mean? It's kind of more sort of to get that, those wheels rolling and thinking outside of the box with a lot of stuff. Yes, it's extremely important to let people be who they want to be in life. Because then it creates us to be rebellious. Because one thing, you hate for somebody to tell you what to do. Oh, you tell me to do, I am do something different, right?
Yeah.
Because now why you, because nobody wants to deal with that authority, that constant, do this, until you go against it. But when you do it from a different approach, that's why the communication, again, it just keep coming up because it's extremely important. When you talk to your kids on a level that they can understand you on, right? And constantly reinforcing, redirecting. We all human still. And that's what a lot of people gotta understand. Everybody's a human being. We make mistakes. We might fall off a little bit, but get back on. That's why you need that support. That's why you need that positive reinforcement. All of that stuff is vital, right? So I'm just glad that y'all kids have y'all, right?
Yeah.
I'm glad that y'all know the importance of still spraying yourself out, even though, some of y'all, only got a kid. All y'all got a kid, and, you eventually is going to have your own children that we waiting on. And, pressure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, so, just keep on doing it. Like I said, we had to have, y'all come on the couch because again, yes, we acknowledge moms on Mother's Day, so it's extremely important to acknowledge fathers on Father's Day. Just keep doing y'all, keep showing up. Even when they get hard, reflect back on, Dad, when I was that age, what did I want somebody to do for me? Dad, do I as a grown-up, do I want somebody talking to me like that? You know what I mean? So just try to be more understanding. You gotta be understanding, you gotta be selfless, you gotta be considerate, all the above. So, thanks for coming on. I'm wishing y'all a happy Father's Day. I don't know what y'all gonna do after this.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Yes. And shout out to all the dads out there. Happy Father's Day, y'all. I know y'all get a lot of bashing and things, and I laugh at the stuff dads. Mom had everything begins with K, and dad got a foreman, stretched over.
Yeah.
I thought that was like hilarious, like the comparison in that. But no, like really seriously, like we appreciate y'all, like y'all impactful, like keep showing up for your kids, man. And even if you're a dad out there that's like that fell off, get back on track, because honestly, it's never too late. Right your wrongs at the end of the day, and that's really being a real man. Like, right your wrongs. If you know that you know aren't in your kid life right now, get back into what you know is right. Get back into what you know your kid need. And sometimes it don't matter the age, because believe it or not, that boy would always be there if for certain kids. So get back and do what y'all know that y'all supposed to do. This is Nash signing off.
Nash signing off.
Montez.
Darren D-Rock.
Steve, I do want to add something.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, yes.
So I just want to say something to end this, right? Far as me, my expectation when I become a father myself, understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I want to be the kind of father that no disrespect to them. I don't want to co-parent with mine. It's being though I waited so long to have a child.
Mm-hmm.
Understand what I'm saying? I want a family. I don't want to be a part-time dad. Understand what I'm saying? If I have a child, I want to wake up to my child, go to sleep to my child, be involved with my child. Understand what I'm saying? I don't want to pick and choose this day, that day. I want to be a full-time parent. And no disrespect to the person I might have my child with, but for me to be okay, when I get my child, I'm going to the courts and get partial custody of my kid. This so I can have the 50% of
Parental rights.
of my child. Understand what I'm saying? Even though, cause some of y'all women, we might be in best of friends when a child comes, and then out of nowhere we might have a hiccup. And then you gonna tell me when I can see and when I cannot see much. That's dead. I didn't wait this long to have a child for you to dictate when I'm going to do something or when I'm not going to do something with my child. So understand what I'm saying? That's just what I want when I had my kid.
Yeah, I like that. You're right. I'm glad that you added that. Yeah, put a ring on it, you know?
Yeah, I want a family first.
Listen, I was all about that. It's funny because like that was my intention, that was my goal. I think that, but once it happened, you get to see how it happens where you see separated parents. It's
Life.
Yeah, experience.
Because you couldn't tell me I wasn't gonna stay with my son, mom, and have that tone be we a family and all my kids be in one place, and you couldn't tell me that wasn't a thing. But it was once I got there and it happened that you like, oh, okay, well then this is how parents separate, and this is how there are divorces, and this is how co-parent you. Once it happens, then you understand it.
And you don't really have no control over that. You know what I'm saying? You really don't.
Yeah.
But
if you can help it.
It's
It's
help
okay
it.
to have that.
Yeah.
It's okay to have that expectation. It's okay for that.
Yeah.
So now you're going to work 20
Another thing
times
for y'all.
harder.
Seriously, a house with no goals is a house with no. I mean, a house with no expectation is a house with no goals. A house with high expectations is a house with high goals. You understand what I'm saying? Y'all gotta push up kids. I expect for you to be doing this, not come home and drop your book bag and run outside and do whatever you want to do. Understand what I'm saying? House with high expectations, a house with high goals, man.
And that's that. And my last person signing off.
Merchandise.
Yes, so that's that. Happy Father's Day.
Bye-bye.